And let's take the next listener phone call.
Michio, this is Larry Chan from the Milky Way Galaxy, hearing the broadcast on GCN. I'd like to ask if Einstein was overrated. Brian Greene stated that relativity would have been derived from Maxwell's equations if Maxwell lived long enough. Many scientists would probably have discovered relativity eventually, so how important was Einstein anyway?
Well, I think you hit upon a certain fact, but I think Einstein's reputation is still going to remain. And that is that around 1860, 40 years before the birth of Einstein's special relativity theory, in the 1860, James Clerk Maxwell in Cambridge, England, discovered a theory of light, Maxwell's equations, but he didn't live long enough. He had a short lifespan, unfortunately. He didn't live long enough to look at the consequences of his theory of light. His theory of light made relativity, but he didn't know it. He died prematurely. But if he had simply pushed his equations further, he would have realized that the speed of light is a constant in all inertial frames. Whether or not a light beam moves toward you, away from you, or sideways from you, the velocity is the same. That violates common sense. Common sense tells you that no, something coming at you, away from you, whatever, they have different velocities. Nope, they have the same velocity. It defies common sense. But Maxwell didn't live long enough to see the consequences of his own equations, which is sad. It took Einstein in 1905 to finally come out and prove that Maxwell's equations remain the same whether or not a light beam moves toward you, away from you, or sideways. And that is the basis of special relativity. So does that mean that Einstein's reputation is overblown? No. It means that, well, first of all, he did get it right. Other people got the Lorentz transformation as well. And Maxwell, of course, didn't live long enough to exploit the Lorentz equations. But Einstein put it all together. Second of all, he discovered general relativity, which many scientists believe is an even greater contribution. And here he was decades ahead of everyone else. Everyone else was concentrated on atomic physics, on radiation, on uranium. That's where most of the work was done in the 30s and 40s. But here comes Einstein talking about gravity, talking about four-dimensional transformations of space and time. That time and space are also relative. That any object traveling at tremendous velocities would obey a different kind of physics. So that is an even greater contribution. And so to answer your question, was Einstein's fame in some sense overrated? Well, a little bit, in the sense that Maxwell did not live long enough to find the consequences of his equations. His equations had within them special relativity. It took Einstein, however, to put it all together. And even then, realized that back in 1905, when Einstein came out with special relativity, there were people that were close to it, but they had too many prejudices about the speed of light. Poincaré, Lorentz, they had the Lorentz transformation. They knew that space and time could change the faster you moved, but they thought it was an anomaly. They thought it was not fundamental. In other words, when an object moves very fast, it starts to compress. And Lorentz thought the compression was mechanical, that objects near the speed of light are compressed because that's the nature of speeding up, that things get compressed. Einstein said, no, space itself shrinks and compresses. It is space that changes, not just the compression of a light bulb or a light beam. Okay, well, that's it for Science Fantastic.